This is the TechTrends Podcast, your go-to podcast for the latest in tech, innovation, and the digital world. Welcome to the TechTrends Podcast, where we explore the innovations shaping Africa's digital future. I'm your host, Nixon Kanali, and today we are talking about something critical to that future: AI literacy. As artificial intelligence transforms industries and societies, one big question remains: will young people across Africa be ready to shape and lead this transformation, or just watch from the sidelines? Joining me today are two amazing people working to answer that question. Dr. Pauldy Otermans and Aditya are the co-founders of the Otermans Institute, a global education organization on a mission to bridge learning gaps using AI-powered education. They're here to talk about the OI Lead initiative, the new program launching in Kenya to equip up to 5,000 learners per organization with certified AI skills, all delivered by AI teacher. Dr. Pauldy, Dev, welcome to the podcast.
Fantastic. Very good to meet you. I'm Dave, So I'm one of the co-founders, directors of Otermans Institute. I'm also the AI architect. So when we're going through this, if you want to dig deep in technology, let's do that. Very much excited to do that. Separately, as part of my own work with the organization, outside the organization, I regularly do a lot of cutting-edge research in AI as well. So we just don't use AI. We build AI. I'm sure we're going to talk about it. And I publish regularly in peer-reviewed Tier 1 journals like Frontiers, etc. globally. So good to meet you.
All right. Thank you, Dev.
Good morning. Hi, Nixon Kanali. Lovely to meet you. I'm Dr. Pauldy Otermans. I'm the other co-founder and director of Otermans Institute. And I come at from a totally different perspective. So whilst Dave is the AI architect and looks over that side of things, I come from a neuroscience background. So I combine neuroscience, psychology, education into our AI and education systems. So driving very much that angle. And as Dave also, I publish regularly in the space. I'm an active researcher in the field of neuroscience and AI and education, and also talk about this topic at a variety of different conferences, and was in Kenya 2 months ago, which is really lovely. I was invited by Quia. We can talk about that as well later, but that was really nice.
Thank you so much, Pauldy, and of course, thank you so much, Devin. Thank you so much for just finding time to join us for this podcast. So, the TechTrends Podcast is one of the, the biggest tech podcasts here in Nairobi, Kenya, in Africa, and we get to sit down with, people in the tech space who are building very good products, who are, working to just basically, help communities in Africa through technology. And of course, it's happy that you could actually find out to join us on this podcast. And we love the initiative you're doing. We've done a few articles around that. I'm sure you saw them, trying to just amplify the message you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. And for this podcast, I just want to discuss, where this journey is going, how it started, and of course, what we are looking at. And of course, I want us to start with the bigger picture. I just want to understand what really inspired the founding of the Otermans Institute, and of course, what personal stories or professional experiences that led, you both to focus on especially digital and AI education, particularly in underserved communities. So maybe Dave, you can take that.
Yes, of course. Fantastic. Thanks a lot for that question, Nixon. I think that's a very broad question in terms of our story, but I think it's very relevant, right? So I'll just give you a little bit of a history. So Dr. Otermans and myself, we actually started real physical teaching, training, and upskilling, right, in 2020, 2019. And at that time, we were more in Asia. So we were in India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and we were teaching some of the most marginalized learners there. One of the schools where we were teaching was inside a national park, right? One of the days we saw a leopard just outside the gate. So it was really, really very remote, and we saw those needs. So at that point, we decided, let's formalize this, let's make this into an organization, and let's tackle this head on. So we did this in February of 2020, and in about 2 weeks' time, the dreaded pandemic started. I think everybody remembers that. So that So that was really a sort of fire moment for us. But we took that opportunity and we said, let's digitize everything, right? So we digitized everything, and suddenly in about 4, 5, 6 months' time, we were supporting 35,000 learners globally.
Wow.
So UNHCR was working with us, UNESCO was working with us, schools, colleges, etc. were obviously working with us. And we couldn't solve this problem and make it even a bigger sort of impact piece. In fact, at that time, we were also having volunteers helping us. And luckily, it was the pandemic, everybody was at home. So we had all of these academics, etc., from big universities who were also volunteering. But 35,000 was the peak.
Wow.
So another thing we realized at this point was, there is only so much you can do by giving out content. So let me explain. Let's talk about the marginalized, right? If you give them free books, if you give them YouTube, if you give them Khan Academy, if internet works, of course, still they're going to hit a wall at a certain point. And our focus is always teacher, mentor, trainer driven, right? Because they are the ones who solve your doubts. They are the ones who motivate you. They're the ones who support you. They're the ones who guide you what to learn next. So we thought, how are we going to scale this? Now, this is 2020. There is no ChatGPT, nothing else, right? So we thought, let's use AI because a teacher is a highly intelligent person, right? So we said, let's experiment with it. Now, the experiment worked. So in January of 21, we launched our first AI teachers. That's the first public AI teachers in the world. And the first batch was the UNHCR camps in Iraq. Okay. And our first student's name was Aisha. She was a group of 4. After that, we scaled a lot. And we still remember we were looking at her from an old sort of webcam, and it took us 16 minutes to understand the system. So we were like, this is not going to work. But suddenly she, looked at her old phone and she spoke to the AI, and the AI spoke back. So she looked at us and she was like, oh, she speaks to me. Right? So that was the light bulb moment. That's what got us into this journey. Today, our AI teachers teach in or serve learners, as we like to say it here, in 17 countries. But why Africa? That's the question. If we are in the upskilling space, we have a target of upskilling 750 million people by 2030, mainly the marginalized, right? If upskilling and reskilling is our focus, if the teaching and training is our focus, then what's the skill of our time? It's AI literacy, right? We have the fortunate ability to be in Kenya and to be in Africa. And Pauldy was also there. And what we found out was, both from our experiences and also we looked at the data, that Africa has the lowest AI literacy in the world. Okay. It's sad in that way. More importantly, as of January this year, an MIT report came out that only 4% of data used to train the likes of ChatGPT, etc., came from Africa. So it's the Wikipedia problem. It's a very Western thing. So we said, if that's the skill of our time, right, and if this is the problem, why not start in Africa? And very luckily, what happened, which we did not know, is in April, you guys had this conference, the AI declaration in Kigali, right? The nation states. And at that time, all of the countries said, we want 15% of our population to be AI literate by 2026. Now, that's a very, very steep curve. Can they do it alone? I hope so. Can we support? We think we can. So this is essentially the first stepping stone in helping support this mission of 15% Africans AI literate by 2026. And we are starting in Kenya. So that's the exciting part.
That's very exciting. Maybe Pauldy, because you had an option to go into an urban setting to do this training. But why specifically underserved communities, like, of course, where I come from, back in my village, in a place called Kitale, or you guys are going to, in Turkana, all these places. Why these underserved communities?
Yes, that's always been at our core, actually. And it is those communities that either do not have access to education because maybe it's too expensive. It is too far away from where they are. Not every village has a school that they can go to. So maybe they cannot go every day up and down to school. They may need to get a job to support a household and a family. And education is seen almost as a, secondary thing, if at all. And we see that this gap between those that can afford and are able to go to education and those that cannot, for these variety of different reasons, and I probably didn't even name them all, there are probably many, many more. We see that gap is only growing. And globally, there is a big digital skills and literacy gap. And through all the technologies that have come, we can see that this gap is only growing, because also the second point is that those in marginalized communities often also, apart from not being able to access education, also often lack two things. Either there is no internet, so the connectivity settings have not reached those communities yet, or the internet may be there, but it's really, really expensive and they cannot afford it. So, choosing between having internet or, food on the table, I think the answer is very obvious. So that's another reason for us to tap into those communities, to really make sure that they're not left behind. And they've made touch upon the technical aspects of this, but we can run our AI systems and our AI teachers offline. Which means they do not have to have these high data costs. They can get connected and talk to the AI without being connected to the internet. So again, it's a way of upskilling them and bringing them at par with the other people in their community and in their neighboring states and counties.
All right, interesting.
Yeah, and if you want me to touch on that a little bit more, right? I think this is really exciting. Because today already, and the bigger campaign hasn't started, right? We are touching learners who don't regularly use Google even. Sure, they have data. They save their data for their M-Pesa or whatever, right? To make those payments. That's about it. They are not really having that digital experience. So beyond learning, can our system be their first full digital experience? Probably, right? And where is the world going? It's going voice first. Ours is voice first. It's avatar oriented. That's the new web. So it's not about a story of catching up anymore. It's about coming straight at this sort of, cutting edge of things, where the world is going. It's a catch-up moment if it works. Like we all know in Vietnam as well, right? They skipped the landline phone altogether. They jumped straight to the smartphone and the mobile phone. Can this happen? Maybe, right? That's why we built this Africa first, offline first. And technically what this technology essentially is edge AI, right? Which is AI runs on your device using that as the compute, not the data center. But what makes us even more unique, we are the only edtech in the world who are doing this. But what makes us even more unique is you don't need a latest Samsung phone to do it or an iPhone to do it. You can have a 2020 Oppo and it will still work. That's what we've done. So we're really hoping that this scales. 25,000 is August, but this really scales and empowers people. One person, one village, one town at a time.
All right. You've basically answered my next question, because I wanted to ask you how, what makes your program different from other AI education programs in Africa or any education programs out here, which actually you've answered. But, just, to zoom in a bit, you've chosen to launch this initiative in Kenya. And of course, it aligns with, the broader, vision of the Global AI Summit on Africa. I'm just curious, why Kenya, and how do you see this initiative supporting the broader goal of helping Africa become a developer and not actually the consumer of AI?
I'm going to start with this one first, Pauldy, because you've got your personal experiences. We are obviously looking at Pan-Africa as a piece, so I'm going to start from there, right? So, see, first of all, if there is a Silicon Valley in the continent, the Silicon Savannah is Kenya, right? So, where not to start it? It should be Kenya, absolutely. That's why. Okay, that's one of the reasons why. Now, the second point is, how our system works is we work with NGOs, CBOs, schools, right? We're already talking to ministries, etc. And every time where we launch this product, which is free to use, by the way, we also do training and upskilling of the staff members. So eventually this is moderated and managed by the community. So that's that knowledge transfer piece. We want this to, not only for Kenya, by the way, anywhere we go, we do that, right? Because that's the way it should go. The third part is, we are just not doing Kenya. Kenya is the first in terms of the starting line, but we are also doing South Tome and Principe, which is on the west. Okay, that's the smallest economy in Africa. But essentially what the strategy is we are doing west first, we're proving it, we're doing east first, we're proving it, and then we're going to get into the continent, right? East, west, move it. So these are essentially some of the levers and verticals we are pulling, because 15% of Africa, 600 million youth, 2026, it's going to be a sprint next year, a marathon style sprint. So just getting ready.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Dave. Anything to add, Dr. Pauldy?
If I can add as well, as I mentioned, I was in Kenya at the end of April. We were invited to give the keynote talk at the AI and Education Conference at Kwaya, the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. And that led to many, many meetings in Africa. It was absolutely amazing to be in Kenya. I was there with one of our colleagues for about just under 2 weeks. We met over, I think, 35, 40 people, and everybody was super enthusiastic about what we were doing and really wanted to support and collaborate and work together to make this happen in Kenya and to serve as many people as possible. It also led to already conversations with people at a ministry level on the education side, education and TVET, as well as NatCom, so the Kenyan arm of UNESCO. So also having those support can really help us make a big impact on a national level in Kenya and hopefully tackle the entire country in the next, I would say, 12 months. Let's see what we can do. And that's from my personal experience from having been there. And I mean, I can't wait to go back, to be honest. So maybe we can meet in person next time.
Yeah, you should. We actually, I love that we're having this conversation, because we're actually planning, we have an AI Breakfast Summit coming up in August. It's a breakfast summit we are organizing, as TechTrends Media. We're just bringing together, business leaders to showcase real world case scenarios of how they're using AI in their businesses. It's a very nice conversation to have. And of course, when I see such initiatives, it tells you there's actually a bigger gap that needs to be filled. And, players like you are really helping. And I'm just curious. So the curriculum that you developed actually spans just 10 hours, I think, from what I got. And, it covers lessons like the basics of AI. We are looking at ethics and real world use cases, which I just mentioned. How did you go about designing, a curriculum that is both, let me say, accessible and impactful, especially for youth who may be new to actually digital learning? Dr. Pauldy.
Yes, so our program is built upon the framework that is set by UNESCO for teachers and educators. They launched this framework last year and actually recently updated it on AI literacy for teachers and students in the world of AI. So we've developed a curriculum based on that, because that is sort of almost the gold standard. This first program that we're doing in Kenya with 25,000 people covers indeed these 9 lessons, and it starts really from the basics. We are almost going on the assumption that people have no idea what's going on. They don't know yet about what is AI, how to use it, how to use it responsibly, what about the ethics, what about the data, and how can I use AI, in my daily life, whether that is personal or professional, because you can use it either way. And this, I must say, is only the starting point. So once people have completed this, of course, there will be more follow-ups, an intermediate level course, an advanced course, in AI in the field of health, AI in the field of business, AI in the field of, you name it, law, education, etc. So from there, we can then also expand and see what do the people actually need, because this we have identified through our research, through our conversation that we've had in Kenya, that this is needed. But the next course, the next levels is what the people will say, what they will need, and then we'll build it accordingly to serve their needs.
Very quick one on that, right? I'm just going a bit global here. Even in the UK, the US, other countries, you just go and ask the average person on the road what is AI. Today they will say ChatGPT.
Exactly.
They don't understand. Okay. So let's get the basics right, and then we're going to do steps from on top of that, because in any country, in any place, there are people who are more interested than people who are less interested. But just imagine you did not know what the internet was. You could never use it.
Exactly.
So we first want them to know what AI is.
All right. And Dave, actually, one of the most exciting aspects that I liked about the content that you guys are developing is that it's being delivered by AI-powered teachers. That's quite interesting. Can you explain how that works and how that works actually in practice, and how it actually compares to traditional classrooms in remote teaching methods?
Yes, of course. I touched on some of these points. I'm going to relay them back as well, because I think it's equally important.
Yes.
But first, let's just tell you how does it work. All right. The best way to understand this is every single one of us, right? You would be very unfortunate if you didn't, but every single one of us has had a favorite teacher in their lives.
Yes.
Right? Be it in school, be it in university, be it in college, wherever. Okay? Be it a tutor. Now imagine you were able to have your favorite teacher 24/7. And this teacher only understands you more and more and more as you learn. Right? That's the vision.
Yeah.
Why? Even before Africa, even before AI literacy, if you remember our origin story, what we realized is content alone doesn't solve the problem. You need the teacher. But now you can have a teacher that understands you more than any human teacher just because of the contact hours and how much you use and how much it can support you.
Yeah.
So that's essentially the piece here. How does it work? You have complete avatars. You choose your avatars. You design your teachers essentially, right? And then it's voice first. Now, you can read, you can type, but it controls most of the modalities. Most people learn, read, understand, consume differently, right? This really addresses all of these points. And there are some other interesting points here as well, apart from offline.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about, let's say we were upskilling marginalized small-scale farmers, right? What's the best way to support learners who have low literacy? It's voice.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to read, right? So these are again things that this system supports. And finally, I think it's cool, right? If AI is teaching you AI, why not?
All right. Thanks, Dave. And given the
if I may add,
yeah, sure.
Just one thing to add as well is that our system is not a one-size-fits-all approach. And what I mean by that is that we always work within the context that we operate. So just to give you an example, if when our AI teacher will be teaching 25,000 people in Kenya, it will the avatar looks like Kenyan, speaks like Kenyan, use those words, things, the accessories, everything is fit to what you guys like to see. And of course, we're working with local people to give us that understanding of what that is. If we're going to the UK, obviously the Kenyan avatar is not going to work. So the entire system will look like British, whatever that means. So I think that's really important because that's how you learn. You can't learn in a global fashion. It is not, that approach doesn't work. It needs to be localized and contextualized to the people that we're working with. And I think that's another, apart from being able to run offline, that's another one of our advantages of the way we are delivering, teaching, training, and upskilling.
Okay, and I love that you mentioned local because the initiative, from what, of course, the content we've covered, it's open. It's not only open to NGOs, charities, and CBOs, especially those working in border counties in Kenya, or focusing on lifelong learning. There's vocational skills, especially special needs education as well, and women empowerment. Why this particular focus?
I'll give you a little bit of a news as well here, right? Why this focus, right? First of all, this focus is because, again, we are marginalized first, right? If you take this, especially if it's free, and we go to your private schools in Nairobi, they're bound to take it, right? But we want to start from the grassroots, okay? So that's why. And why CBOs, NGOs, these organizations? Because they already have links to the grassroots. Okay, that matters. Because otherwise, getting it in front of them, etc. If they need training support, all of these things, if they need some support while they're using it, is not going to be possible in such a short time. And that pans with our model, which is every time we are working with a CBO, we're working with an NGO, we first train their staff. So there is a dissemination of knowledge, there is AI literacy training, human-led by us, and then it goes to the other learners. So there is a training part of it, and they can also support these people. That's why we are starting there. From a news point of it, I won't name them right now because it's just coming in. But we've also got up to 2 counties now who want to come from the county level, right? From the management, from the governance level, who also want to participate in this. So this is going beyond CBOs now. If we are going to do this, then we might end up doubling the number in office. Let's see. But this sort of interest is coming, and we're just excited to see where this goes.
All right. Anything to add, Dr. Pauldy?
No, I think you've covered it all. The only small thing to add is you mentioned special needs groups. And I think that's a very interesting area. It's something that's close to our heart. And we work a lot on this, particularly with specialized people here in the UK. And our system, our AI teachers, when the user, the learner interacts, is super neurodiversity friendly. It tailors to lots of different features, whether you have dyslexia, ADHD, autism, ASD, or a combination of some of them, because most people, when they have a learning difficulty, it's more than one. And our system also caters to all of that, whether or not you already have been formally diagnosed, because there is a lot of people that are not diagnosed. And again, the system can pick that up, and it's hyper-personalized to your individual needs. So that's another area that also falls, I think, under the marginalized people.
All right, and I like that they've mentioned that it's a very short period. I'm just curious, how do you ensure that learners actually walk away with the real lasting understanding of AI and its potential in their lives, considering in the short period of the courses?
See, what we have learned in our work globally is if it's not defined, right, it's difficult to start. This is the defined moment. You're going to walk out with something tangible. You're going to walk out understanding AI. That's our first goal, right? But they keep the software. It's for free, right? So they're going to get other lessons, advanced. It's up to them then to continue or not. That's essentially the piece. Nobody's stopping them at the end of August. Just this course finishes. This is the call to action. This is, can we be AI literate? Can we make a difference for ourselves, for our country, for our continent, right? But it just stays with them after that. So they will learn more and more and more. And we will continue to support as much as we can. And I'm sure the government, NATCOM, UNDP, all of these organizations will also come in to support, provide content, etc., which for us is just feeding it in for these citizens to consume at their own free will for free.
All right, thanks, Dave. And let's talk about now the certification, of course, the outcomes. And I love the fact that actually learners actually receive a certificate from the Otermans Institute in London once they complete the program. So how important is this certification for improving, of course, their career, educational trajectory, and especially from where they're coming from? Because at the end of the day, they're coming through the program, but they have something they're looking forward to, right? The certification, yes. So what happens next? So how important is this certification to them?
See, my reaction to that is we have actually not put the certificate at the center and core of this. It is about AI literacy, right? But the certificate matters. Okay. Last year, for instance, and the year before, with this conflict in Palestine, we were able to continue learning of students in Palestine, right? They also got the certificates. Some of them now have jobs, right, in the IT sector, etc. So we hope the same thing happens in Kenya. The second thing is, now just think, from a marginalized hat on, how many people in their village, etc., have a UK-based certificate? Right? It already also just, makes them stand out when they're getting into careers, etc. So that's just a natural falling of it. So it's going to benefit them. We will also partner with other organizations. We have MOUs with Strathmore University now. We have relationships with Nairobi University now to also get in other certificates later if they so want. But for this project, I hope they benefit from the certificates, but it's about getting AI literate first. You can get all the certificates that you want, but if you don't know how to work Excel or internet, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, interestingly, a lot of what I notice these days, a lot of people don't care about the certification. As long as they have the skills. I mean, I have friends who didn't actually even complete university, but they've taken a lot of short courses in AI or tech, and they're doing very well for themselves. So at times, the skills are what matters actually. And I love that we're pushing about AI literacy, which is actually a very important, part of this conversation. And, maybe Dr. Pauldy, in the content we've covered, in the research we've done, you mentioned that learners also win prizes and improve their employability. Are you able to actually share, what kind of incentives we are looking at for the learners?
Yes. So when it comes to employability and future career development, well, part of that is the certificate, showcasing to a potential future employer, I have achieved this, I have learned this. And because the learning is two-way conversational, it's not, just watching a video and obtaining a online certificate somewhere. You're actually actively engaging, and you can demonstrate that you have obtained those skills during the learning. A lot of people have also landed up internships, volunteering opportunities, work experience opportunities, just based on having gone through it. And if we think about employability itself, alongside AI literacy, we've done a lot of work since 2019 on employability. We have a separate employability program that has been used by learners across 4 continents. And again, there we see that people are putting it into practice. And it's what you said before. A lot of people have qualifications from a specific subject area, but then they're not able to get a job because they have not either been able to put that learning into practice or they're not able to present themselves, introduce themselves, answer interview questions, write a CV. And again, with our AI system, that's a way of people building their confidence and their ability to present and talk to a stranger about who you are and what you can do. And the AI can be that stranger for them, can be that coach. So it's also part of that lifelong learning to be able to then excel further, not just for that first job or role. That's when you develop those skills, but also further on. It's not only for the younger people, it's also for people that may have already found a job and now want to go somewhere else. They're not liking it anymore. They want to develop themselves as a team leader. Again, the AI can support those as well. It's really through your entire personal and professional development journey. So we've seen examples from all of these different areas, how people have used our AI to either step up or to get their first job, or just to learn because they want to learn something new and they embrace that.
So I'll just add one more part because again, this is something that just happened in the process because it's a very tight window. Bear that in mind. So whatever is happening in real time. A lot of it is reactionary, right? We have a lot of local companies now who also are coming in to support this. Okay, so how are they supporting this? Just imagine you were in a classroom, all right? Every time you did well, if you got a chocolate or whatever, it would just motivate you further, right? So we have some companies coming in like New Isla, etc., who are giving some gift vouchers, right, in their kiosks or whatever. So this is just going to help these people feel more motivated while learning. So these are also things that I don't know if somebody bigger like Safaricom comes as well, maybe we could benefit all of them. But the main point here is it's about people joining the movement now, right? We're going to have a webinar very shortly. We're going to have people from the University of Webinar, from University of Nairobi. We're going to have people from NatCom, etc. coming. Why are they coming, right? It's not a sort of 9-month plan project. It's because people are seeing the value of this. Similarly, these companies are coming there saying, hey, we've got 500 vouchers. Let the top students have it, right? So let's encourage them. So all
right, and I think it's also that's why when your colleague reached out to us, we were like, okay, these initiatives we can actually support as well because we love we love when we see people creating impact. That's a very big part of our business as well. And as we almost come to an end, let me zoom out a little bit. So how do you hope this initiative actually helps Kenya and Africa take a more active role in AI development and innovation, Dr. Pauldy?
I'll touch 3 points.
I see this.
No, Pauldy, you go first.
Okay. I mean, I see this as the starting point. So as we said, we start with the 25,000 Kenya, and when they are more AI literate, they can do the follow-on courses, they can develop more skills, also AI and entrepreneurship. How can you use AI to set up your own business? How can you use AI in other fields? So the more we learn and the more we then put it into practice with more intermediate and advanced learning, and remember, this AI stays with you. The AI is not going to go away. It's not on the 31st of August we revoke the access. No, not at all. So they can keep talking and communicating and learning, and hopefully through that continuous learning they will then be able to go to the next step and become indeed a power hub for Africa, starting point in Kenya. That's how I see this growing, and the more learners we can support, the more those communities can also work together, because often when you do things together you can make more impact and actually become what they want to become in the area of AI. Dave, you also had a few points you wanted to add.
Yeah, I'm just going to say 3 points here. And I think this can sort of sum it up, at least in terms of the focus point that we can see in front of us. First of all, 600 million people in Africa are under the age of 35. They absolutely need AI literacy, right? There is no going away from it. This is the starting point. We want to support the governments. We want to support the regions and go east-west and then, hopefully north and south, right? So that's the first part. The second part is the knowledge transfer element. Every time you work with an organization, government, etc., it empowers. and gives, because we are fortunate, right? The birthplace of AI is in the UK.
Yeah.
Both of us come from UK universities, right? Not everybody is. In fact, if you actually look at the AI researchers in the world, it's about 200,000 of us in the world. Okay, so we want to have this dissemination done. That's the second part. The third part is, for the first time in history, we can actually give a teacher to everybody, right? When you're talking about, the traditional model as well, we can probably give a teacher to 1 million people, maybe 10 million people once this thing grows, at the same time as you would build a 2-classroom brick and mortar school somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the opportunity. This is finally here. So these are the 3 things that we are really scoping in on, but let's see what happens. We're very excited about August and especially the months after that.
All right. Thanks, Dev. Thanks, Dr. Pauldy. The application closes on 11th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe just, for any young person listening to this podcast, why should they care about AI literacy? And basically, just as we wind up, what message would you want to share with them about why AI literacy actually matters to their future? You can start with Dev, and Dr. Pauldy can close it.
Yeah, of course. So whether you join our campaign or not, right? Whether you join this program or not, AI literacy is a must. If you were a youth in 1991 to 1999 and you ignored the internet, we all know what would have happened. Don't ignore AI now. We're already 4-5 years into this new AI cycle. Right? This matters. Learn it irrespective of where you can. If you want to join our campaign, it's for free. Please join us. And we are specifically calling out to CBOs, NGOs, and other organizations who specifically support learners on a day-to-day basis. Because not only do we want to help your learners, but we want to upskill you before that, so that even when we are gone, right, that's good, you can continue the service for them.
All right. Thanks, Dev.
They've summed it up quite nicely, but I would like to add that AI literacy is a 21st century skill, and it's probably the most important skill to develop right now, because AI is here, AI is not going to go away, and the impact of AI in any industry is only going to grow.
Yeah.
The technology is growing faster than any of us can follow and can develop ourselves. So this is the moment to actually jump in, start becoming AI literate, join that AI journey, because whatever job you might end up to, whatever that may be, AI will be in it. So it's really important for personal growth, professional growth, and also for the society at large. So join us now and be in touch if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Pauldy. Thank you so much, Dr. Dev. Thank you so much, Dev. Usually when we talk about AI, we know, of course, AI just went mainstream recently, and now we can't really avoid it. Every industry is using AI. Every sector is using AI. So I think, I'm really glad that you guys are actually pushing this initiative. And of course, thank you so much for joining us and for your incredible work in just making AI education more accessible across Kenya and the rest of the world. Dr. Pauldy, Dev, thank you so much for joining us and for your incredible work in making AI education more accessible to learners across Kenya and the world. To our listeners, if you're part of an NGO, charity, or community organization working in education, this is your chance to be part of the movement or a movement that's preparing young people to lead the AI era. Visit Otermans.com to learn more and apply before July 11th. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and leave us a comment or a review from any podcast streaming platform you may be listening from. Until next time, I'm Nixon Kanali, and this is the TechTrends Podcast, where Africa's digital future starts now. Special thanks to our production team for making this show possible. The TechTrends Podcast is produced by TechTrends Media Studios with sound design by Portable Voices and research support from Nixon Kanali, Alan Yongira, and the TechTrends Media editorial team. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Until next time, keep innovating, stay informed, and stay ahead with the TechTrends Podcast.